Friends of the Risen King, my name is Enoch. I am the traditional Catholic rapper. Is it looping? It's looping on my end. All right, here we go. My bad. Got it fixed. Um, my new album is coming out, Kanisa, on November 1st. Just want to throw that out there. And with me today, I got the king himself, some I've been a fan of since 2020. The heck off call me himself, John Doyle. Doyle, thanks for joining me, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I saw, so these get to knows is really just about you. We go back and childhood, growing up, pop culture,
Okay,
food, your favorite things, and all that stuff, and then we'll get to the important stuff, politics and faith, if you don't mind.
sure.
But yeah, hey, if you don't mind telling people either what year or decade you were born.
I'm a 90s kid, right? I was born in 1999
Right?
in December of that month. So I think I had about 8 or 9 days left to enjoy the 1990s, the 1900s.
Oh, that's hilarious, man. Yes, I was born in '85, so I'm old. I enjoyed all through the '90s. You're in the
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. So, what state were you born in and raised?
Michigan.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. My brother lives there now. I was just there about a month ago.
Which part?
He's in Waterford.
Okay. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
right where that is.
Okay. So, uh, what? Any siblings?
Yeah, I have a sister. She's a lot of fun.
Okay. Can you tell me about your childhood, man? Like, were you like a homebody? Would you stay at home? Did you like go out on bikes and
Um, Let's see. I was always, I don't know, I think it probably went in like phases. Like once I think there was a summer where my grandmother was in the hospital for the majority of the summer. She ended up being okay. But that whole summer I was about 13 or 14
yeah,
and my mom wasn't home to tell me where I could and couldn't go anymore. So I spent that entire summer in Oakland County just on my bike, like going everywhere. Like I remember I'd tell her like, "Oh, I went up to like Joanne Fabrics because I wanted to see if I could get like a stencil because my friends and I wanted to like do whatever. I think we were trying to pretend that we were like graffiti artists or something, and so we were getting like stencils and spray painting stuff, or we'd just bike everywhere. And that was like very freeing and very liberating. So that was a lot of fun. But then there were other times, like when I was 12, when I finally got an Xbox. Everyone else had one forever. I finally got one. So then I spent
yeah.
that entire summer inside. So it was very, I guess, dependence on the circumstance.
Okay, got it. That's dope. What? So going back to your early days, like what was your go-to Saturday morning cartoon?
Ooh. I never really watched Saturday morning cartoons
Okay, yeah,
because I don't know back in your day, but by the time like I was a kid, they were just syndicated. Anytime I wanted to watch a cartoon, I could find one. But it would have been like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends,
oh yeah,
maybe Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
yeah. Courage was dope.
Um,
That was like a late night, wasn't it? Courage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then what else did I? And then there were some good ones on Nickelodeon too. I watched a lot of the like I watched Drake and Josh.
Okay,
I watched Zoe 101,
okay,
things like that.
okay. Favorite cereal growing up? Did you have one?
It probably was Trix. I was thinking about this recently. They switched it because Trix used to be in like shapes. Like it would come out of the box and it would have like different,
Yeah,
now it's all like the same bland little sphere. But then like it'll be ostensibly different flavors. But kids nowadays, I'll tell you, they don't understand how good that we had it back in the day, where you actually had like different shapes of. Or we used to have this like, and this is maybe I don't know, it makes it sound like poor or something, but it was like the generic Lucky Charms that
yeah.
we used to buy because it had an octopus on it. I don't know if they still make it. It was like a Kroger, but it was like octopus themed marshmallow cereal. I used to like that a lot. Rice Krispies, can't go wrong there.
Got it,
So.
got it. What would give me like your most memorable time just growing up early in the 2000s in the Midwest?
Well, define memorable, like most significant or just something I always remember, like
Yeah, something
recall.
something you always remember, like like your mom making you your favorite breakfast. So just something like that.
This is man, I love this story. So I've told this story before just because I love it so much.
Let's hear it,
Like
man.
it shows the nature of like how a dad interacts with his children,
Yeah.
where it's sort of like do you have kids?
Yeah, I have 4.
So okay, so you're probably aware it's sort of like this. Well, I would imagine, I don't know yet, but I would imagine sort of like you take interest in your children's lives,
Yeah.
but a lot of it is like, just sort of detecting for any red flags, anything. The dad has to come in and just so like my dad was never really like, oh dad, look at this thing I made, and he'd be like, cool, but it's not really gonna, get a lot of investment from him. But occasionally he would keep his ear to what I was talking about, and he would really come through for me. And one of those times was I was being babysat by my mom's friends.
Yeah.
And we had always had like the Super Nintendo, like Mario games and everything. I'd never played a 3D video game before. And so this woman asked, well, what do you like to do? And I was like, oh, I like video games. And she was like, oh, I think we have a video game up in Seth's room. And so she took me up in her son's room and she set me up on like the Nintendo 64. I've never seen one of these things before, but she like hooks up this Mario game and it's like 3D. It was Super Mario 64. And I was like, what? This is insane to me. And I spent literally the whole afternoon just running around the map and just exploring, like not even doing the levels, just because I was so fascinated by like these graphics, these advanced, 60-bit graphics. I remember I went to kindergarten the next day. And we had these journals that we would have to do every Monday about like what we did the last weekend. I remember drawing the illustration. I played a really cool video game. I was so excited about it. So I must have ran home like, Dad, and he's just like, okay, or whatever. So then like a week later, we went to visit my grandmother up in Lansing. And then when I got back, I remember like the screenshot image in my brain of like standing on the porch to the right of my mom. She's like unlocking the door. She's like, your dad says he has a surprise for you. And he had gone to GameStop and he got a Nintendo 64, Mario 64. And so I don't know like what he told them, like 3D Mario game. And they're just like, oh yeah, we've got right the thing. But that was like so clutch. That was like the best moment ever.
That's crazy. And it wasn't even Christmas, right? It was just did it just because.
No. And there was another time just like that, actually, where so I got my Xbox when I was 12. And I wanted to play this game. It's called Portal. It's like that Valve game where you solve puzzles with like portal guns or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like really into it, but I couldn't play it because I never had like a PC. But now that I had Xbox, I could get it for the Xbox because Valve released a game called the Orange Box, which was like 3 games from their PC, but like on, I don't know. But I remember just like, and we were going up north, like, vacation, no internet, no anything. But there was one GameStop up there, and I brought my Xbox, brought this little TV, set it up in the corner because I was like, look, I've had years of going over to friends' houses. Like now I have to get this all out of my system. And I think I was too scared to ask him for the money. So I think I like asked my grandma or somebody, but word got back around to him like, hey, Johnny wants $20 for the Orange Box. And so he like went up to GameStop. And again, I don't know what he told. He's talking about some puzzle game with Portal, and they're just like, oh yeah, we know just what it is, sir. And they like give it to him. So he came and he like, he threw it at me. He was like, here you go. And I was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. So
yeah, kudos to your pops, man. He's paying attention, but you don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. Yeah, I'm not getting too invested on a drawing that you made me, but I'll get you something.
Exactly.
It's just funny. Let's move forward to like middle school. Did you like play sports at all growing up in school?
Yeah, so I did like the circuit, when you're growing up, your parents will have you doing like soccer, t-ball.
Yeah.
And I did Little League up until, I don't know when you stopped calling it Little League, it went through fall ball for a while, and then it was like U14, U17 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I did that pretty much my whole like upbringing.
Wow.
And then when I was in high school, that was the first time so I swam. We had a swim club in our neighborhood. I swam for them for a while. But then in terms of actually like school sports, that started in high school. I ran track, and I ran track through, I think, my junior year. I made varsity. I was pretty excited about that.
Cool.
And I was heavily involved in the symphony orchestra. And in my school, you get a letter for that. And so they tried to give my friends and I like a varsity letter for that. And we pulled the teacher aside. We're like, we're not going to wear this, right? Like, we can't wear it. He was like, well, some of the kids like to get it on a sweater. And I was like, I'd rather kill myself. I'm not going to do that. So They were cool about it. But technically, yes, they included it under their varsity athletics program.
Okay, so tell me about high school. Did you go to public school?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you enjoy high school at all? The experience?
I had a blast.
Did
It
you
was
really?
the most fun ever. And people hate to admit that. They're like, "Oh, well, what do you think you peaked in high school?" It's not that I peaked,
Yeah.
but there's a very unique type of fun that can be had
Yeah.
where all of your friends are in the same place all day, every day.
Right.
You're growing up together, you're going through these experiences. I'm never going to be ashamed to look back on that and be like, "Wow, that was so much fun." Because it was,
Yeah. You got any embarrassing moments in high school?
Oh yeah, quite a few. Quite a
Yeah.
few.
Share one with us, if you don't mind.
Give me a genre.
Oh, and genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got any embarrassing ones with ladies? You got one with.
I could probably think. Uh,
You don't have to share if you don't want to, but it's kind of
it's
fun.
not even embarrassing. It's more just like
Cringe.
sort of how do I say this? I was okay. So this was like my first real relationship, and I figured out a real easy way to get whatever I want, which is just tell the girl, if you don't give me what I want, I'm gonna break up with you.
Oh, okay, that works. At that time, that works. Yeah.
And then when you're like 16, so I was mad because I was working.
Yeah.
And I had this coworker who was this like 40, 50-year-old woman who was just a real witch. And she was like taking money from the tip jar. And also, so I was in a really bad mood. And then this girl did something that I didn't like. And so I was like, maybe we should just break up. And then she was like, what, you want to break up with me? Whatever. And so then like 2 days later, I was like, hey, do you want to like come over? Do you want to hang out? And she was like, no, we're like not together anymore. And I was like, wait, what? So that's kind of embarrassing. But, it is sort of like, and this thing I tell guys that are, my age, early 20s, mid 20s, who still haven't had a girlfriend, you need to get that over with because you're going to do things in your first relationship that a 25-year-old man can't be caught doing because it's like your first experience with a woman. You get tunnel vision. Wow, she's the love of my life. And you need to get that behind you or maybe marry her. But the point is you can't have your first like breakup when you're in your mid 20s because you're going to be doing stuff that's embarrassing. I mean, you're going to, hey, I know, call me back when you get a chance, just stuff like that. You don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, at 15, that's understandable. At 25, no,
right. Yeah, you'll get the police called on you.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So let's move on to pop culture.
Sure.
I ask this to every single person. Who is your favorite Catholic rapper right now?
It's got to be Enoch, and there's a lot of other names in the game, but I take that into account in my answer. I know that I've done the math. It's got to be Enoch.
I appreciate you, man. No, but give me your favorite movie all time. You got one?
I hate to be like Jordan Peterson. Like, well, it depends on what you mean by favorite movie. But are you talking about like Desert Island or like if I'm showing somebody a movie, like, oh, you got to see this?
Yeah, you got to see this.
Honestly, in the last couple of years, it's been Uncut Gems. That movie was awesome.
Is that with Stiller?
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler, and I think Method Man was in that, wasn't he?
I think he was, and then they had Kevin Garnett in it too.
Okay,
all did fantastic job. But yeah, first time I saw that movie, have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Well, it's only been a few years. Well, it's been like 5 years. I can probably spoil it.
Yeah. I saw it like 5 years ago. I hardly remember it, but I did see it.
I started watching it, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish this in bed. So I brush my teeth and everything. I get in bed. I'm falling asleep, and then right when it ends and they shoot him, I was like a cartoon character. I was like. Literally like soy jacking at the screen, and a movie had never done that to me before. Like I was so invested in the story, and I was kind of falling asleep, and then I was like so shocked. And then when he goes and he shoots the mob boss too, I was almost like wincing because I thought it was. I don't know if it was like a weird state where I'm not fully awake or fully asleep, so maybe I thought it was real or something. But I thought that movie the storytelling was great. I thought it was very unique in sort of the cinematography. I thought the soundtrack was great too. How they had like all those synthesizers. So recently, that's probably been the go-to.
Sweet. Speaking of soundtrack, great segue. Favorite genre of music? You got a few?
Rock music, definitely, and then sort of all the subgenres there. Like I really like punk music. Of course, you like classic rock. I like alternative. I like a lot of the pop punk music too. Like the angsty. sort of Blink 182 stuff.
Yeah.
I like, but soundtrack too. I mean, that's all I listen to when I work. I don't know about you, but I get like dialed in with like, video game soundtracks, movie soundtracks, anything. It just really helps you focus. So that's pretty much the majority of what I listen to. But if I'm just like hanging out, then yeah, it'll probably be like some form of rock music.
Okay. Pop culture wise, if you could pick any decade that you would go back to relive, where would you go?
I don't know. Maybe like the 1990s or the 1980s, maybe the 1950. I don't know. Pretty much any decade between like the 40s and 2000s. I feel like you would have been able to have like a total blast in this country. I mean, you can still have fun now, but in terms of just like a nice wholesome environment where everything isn't trying to like make you gay, like probably any time there. Honestly, if I can achieve time travel and then it's not even that sophisticated where it's like, look, we got to figure it out, but you can only pick between these 3 years. You can't go over. I'm fine. Beggars don't get to be choosers.
Exactly.
I'll go wherever. But here's good too.
Yeah, here's not bad. Okay, let me ask you this. Speaking of time travel, if you could go back to witness just give me 3 events that you could go back to witness live.
I can't impact them. I just have to witness.
You just have to witness them. You can't impact them.
Okay. Probably the JFK assassination, not because I really am, more so because I just want to be there because there's so much headache online about these guys did it, these guys did it. I would like to be there and just be able to be like, I can see it. Like I know like what's going on. That would be cool.
You know where to look now, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I could come back and I could sell that information perhaps.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I would have liked to have been there for like Washington's inauguration. That would have been really interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
And this isn't limited to U.S. soil. I can go anywhere.
Anywhere you want, man.
Probably. And is there a time limit? Can it be like a? I'll probably spend like maybe the last few months in the Fuhrer bunker with Adolf Hitler. I want to see if that guy actually goes to Argentina or something. I want to see like if he sticks around or if he goes somewhere else.
That's a good point, bro. I didn't think about that one. That's a good one. I'm a music buff myself, and I love the studio process. Like I could sit and watch like the studio process all day long. And just to be in the studio when MJ was making Thriller for me would be like the greatest moment.
Right.
Yeah, just to see him make that creative process, live, just putting everything together with Quincy Jones.
Yeah,
that would have been dope. Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. I didn't think about the Hitler one. That's a cool. Yeah.
I'm glad I could bring that perspective to the table.
All right, hey, we're gonna do a little game. It's called This or That. All right, you just gotta answer quickly. I'm gonna give you this or that. You would just answer. All right. Let's Doyle. This or that. Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
Netflix or Hulu?
Hulu.
Okay, either right. Night or morning?
Morning.
Would you rather be rich and famous or rich and unknown?
Rich and unknown.
Okay. Passenger or driver?
Driver.
Art museum or history museum?
History museum.
I thought they would answer that. No. Car or bike?
Car.
Train or airplane?
Airplane.
Would you rather owe money or owe a favor?
That's a good question. Probably owe a favor.
Owe a favor. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
How do you like your coffee? Ice? No, hot?
So if I'm drinking coffee, I'll just drink it straight up black.
Okay.
But if I'm like drinking coffee, I get really pretentious with like the art of it. And I'll make like nice espresso and a nice latte and everything like that. But if I'm just like at a diner and I'm with men, black coffee, please. But if I'm like by myself, then I'll get very artsy with it.
You'll sweeten it a little bit more. Okay, I got it. Would you rather be embarrassed or be afraid?
Be afraid.
City or countryside?
Countryside.
Yeah, okay. So speaking of that, if you could pick anywhere in this country that you would stay, that you would settle, if money wasn't an issue, where would you go?
If money wasn't an issue, I would probably get like some really nice property, maybe in Los Angeles or like on the beach. As much as I don't like California,
Yeah,
I don't like it because of what has infested it. I mean, as a state, it's beautiful.
it is.
I spent some time out there. My buddy just moved out there, and I go out there and I've got all my tweets ready. California, this, California. I get out there like, this is like so nice, and I felt sad. I was like, why did I have such a prejudiced opinion? But yeah, if I had like no worries about money, I would just get some like $100 million beachfront property, private security. I would just live my best life.
Absolutely. I lived in San Diego once in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, so I get it. It's a beautiful state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only moved like 3 years ago. So smartphone or tablet?
Smartphone.
Wine or beer?
Beer.
Beer. Favorite beer?
It's always been Heineken, but in the fall, I like to throw in some Blue Moon. But then recently, I don't know. Someone pointed out to me that Heineken smells like skunk. And now I noticed it, and now
you can't unsmell it.
Yeah, now it's like off-putting to me.
That's funny, man. Camping or glamping?
Honestly, glamping.
Glamping. Cooking or being cooked for?
Cooking.
Playing or stand-up show?
Playing or a stand-up show?
Oh, sorry, play or stand-up show? Would you rather?
Oh, definitely stand-up. Yeah.
Not bad. Okay. Okay. So you said cooking. What's your famous dish?
So as a single young man, I don't make like meals. I cook like ingredients for myself. So I'll have like steak, eggs, boom, there's a meal. Jasmine rice, eggs, boom, that's a meal. Jasmine rice, steak, boom, that's a meal. Like, just we've got like the same rotation of like 7 or 8 ingredients, and we just keep mixing them and mashing them. So that's about as sophisticated as it gets.
Hey, if you're lifting, steak, eggs, and rice. Do you need anything more?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's all you need, right? Roommate or live alone?
I don't want to hurt his feelings. I had a roommate for a while. He's the guy that moved out to LA, but I do prefer to live alone, and he knows that. So.
Okay. Would you rather attend a party or host a party?
Probably host.
Okay. Lose sleep or skip a meal?
Skip a meal.
Me too. Let's see. I know the answer to this question already. Ambition or comfort?
Ambition.
I know you're an ambitious person. Yeah. Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Okay. Espresso or drip coffee?
Espresso.
Let's see here. Red wine or white wine, if you had a choice?
I can't drink wine, so I guess I'd say red.
Red. Okay. Reality TV show or a documentary?
Okay, reality, but here's why. If I'm just flipping channels and I see a documentary that's being aired on public television, it's probably not going to be. So at least like the reality show is honest with what it like. Hey,
thank you.
We're not claiming to be anything. We're trash. We're going to put it in your face. Whereas the documentary is trash, but it's like, I'm intelligent. It's like, no, it's garbage anyway. So yeah, you know what? I am going to watch whatever garbage reality TV show is on.
Yeah. At least they admit it's garbage.
Yeah.
So waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Okay, here's my favorite question. This last one now. Nova Soto or traditional Latin Mass?
I'm going to say traditional. I do prefer the traditional service, but it's quite a drive, It's a lot of the way.
Yeah. Is it? Are you still in Detroit, Michigan area?
No, I'm in Fort Worth now.
Oh, you moved. Okay. Got it. Okay. Cool. Let's move on to politics.
Sure.
At what age did you start getting into politics? Was it during the Bush? I think you said that during the Bush Kerry days.
I do have political memories dating back to that election. I remember driving through neighborhoods and we would see a Bush yard sign and I would say Bush, and we'd see a Kerry yard sign and I'd say Kerry. It's like very good friend-enemy distinction at such an early age. And I remember we saw George Bush at the Pontiac Silverdome, would have been in, I think, 2004.
Yeah.
And I remember the Obama election and administration pretty well. But in terms of the actual like day-to-day, more obsessive involvement, that definitely started during the Trump election.
2015, somewhere around there.
Yeah, when I remember we had gone up north last day of school, June
Yeah.
15th.
Yeah.
And then we found out that Donald Trump had descended from the golden escalator. And my dad, he sat in my grandpa's chair and he was like, that guy's going to be president. Just you watch. And I was like, okay, Dad. But he was right. He called
Prophetic,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Your pops is prophetic. First, he gets you all those video games by asking the nerds at GameStop. And then
Yeah, no, I always joke with him because it's like on the day-to-day stuff, sometimes he gets lost in the weeds. But in terms of like the long-term prediction, he's never missed, not one time.
Really? Wow. Okay, so let's go to 2024. You prefer Trump, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, so do I. I prefer him over DeSantis. And I've watched your analysis, and I agree with pretty much. I think probably about 100% of what you say. I think you and I think the same when it comes to politics. If you were, let's say everybody voted in John Doyle as a third-party candidate, which would be sweet, and you got in, who would you pick as your vice president, and what would be your platform?
So I'm already in. I'm like
good
to go.
You're good to go. You've already been inaugurated. Would you pick Trump as your vice president?
No.
Okay.
And it's not. And if he wanted it, I would certainly give it to him. The reason I wouldn't give him that job is because the job of the vice president should be to like execute. And Trump is certainly a far better salesman than he is like an execute. I mean, he's good at the guy runs businesses and he has experience, but I just don't know that he would want that. But if he did, certainly it could be his job. I would be looking for somebody who is very good at just, behind the scenes, getting things done. I have a few friends in DC I would probably consider. So I don't know exactly who my VP would be, but the brilliant thing is I'm already in office, so I don't have to worry about my platform being palatable to the masses. This is like one of the problems that Trump has. Like recently, for example, a lot of people in the sort of Christian conservative world have been having a lot of fun dunking on him because of his answer about like transgenderism and which by the way, like I thought his answer was like better than DeSantis's answer because DeSantis, he was asked like, can a man become a woman? And he goes, no, of course not. A man cannot become and it's like, that's a good answer, but it sort of almost loses because you're justifying the question by like treating it seriously. Whereas Trump is asked that question and he like immediately just laughs.
Right.
And he's like, look, I personally, it just sort of reveals like a difference in sort of outlook towards the problem. So I actually thought that Trump handled it better, but people want to like pounce on him because he's not like as concerned about Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney as they are. And it's like, okay, maybe. Or even like with the abortion thing, for example, like they were upset because Trump said that, DeSantis's bill was too extreme and things like that. It is true that you can't win a federal election at this point by running with like an extremely radically pro-life, stance on the issue. That doesn't mean that you can't govern that way. Sure. And this is the problem with this like type of person is if you tell them like, hey, you can actually run on something as moderates, and then when you achieve power, do whatever you want anyways. This is what the left has been doing for literally like 100 years.
Oh, they do that, yeah.
Like, well, no, because then how does that make us better than them? And it's like, okay, well, do you actually want to win and save lives? Or do you want to just like be on Twitter and be contrarian and be like, I'm actually more moral than Donald Trump because I have a better answer to this question. And it's like, okay, Donald Trump is the reason why Roe v. Wade was overturned. I mean, you're talking about like decades of pro-life activism, money, all of that was for that one objective. And Trump took care of it. Correct. And now you want to come down on this guy because he didn't give an answer. Like the people who surround Trump aren't really good on every issue, but then like cringe on that issue. They're also really good on that issue, but they know that's a very, what do they call them? That's a wedge issue. It gets people animated. So if we can just focus on things that don't get people so riled up, things that we still win votes on, then when we get in there, maybe we can start, because it's his second term anyways. He has nothing left to lose. So I wish people would give him a little bit more credit there. But in terms of what I would do, day one, I am militarizing the southern border. We're getting completely, we're getting a wall built, maybe even just as like a middle finger to Latin America, we'll dig like a new Panama Canal and just make that entire thing obsolete and just completely take all of that trading capital from them. And we'll do that. And we'll also probably have something to.
Would you buy it back for $1?
Sure, maybe, but we'll do that. We'll definitely crack down on the people who are here illegally. I think that's top priority. I think immigration and health are the biggest issues that we face. I think that if we had people here who were supposed to be here and then we were healthy again, we weren't eating poison, drinking poison, it'd be a much happier country. People would be much less influenced to pursue sin and pursue evil, and they would just feel better. And I think that when you are of a healthy body, mind, and spirit, I think, of course, those are all connected, but I think that also makes your armor against the devil a lot stronger. So I would definitely have my guys from right-wing Twitter infiltrate the Department of, or the Department of Agriculture, and deal with all that stuff. And then we would have our guys at DHS deal with everybody who's not supposed to be here. And we could probably sort that out by the end of my administration. But if not, hey, maybe we'll have to extend it. We'll be like FDR, we'll extend and we'll extend and we'll extend. And pretty soon I'll just be like de facto king of America, and everything will be great. It'll be a pleasant place to live and everyone will be better off for it.
Okay, let me ask you this question. If Trump was not in the picture, who would be your second?
Probably DeSantis.
Okay. Over either shawarma, what's his name?
Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
Yes. And what's funny is I gave DeSantis a really hard time for a while.
Yeah.
And then I saw that first GOP debate and I actually felt kind of bad. I was like, okay, I didn't realize how bad everybody else is. And he kind of got grouped into that. DeSantis is far better on the issues than everybody else on that stage.
Right.
The thing that's good about Ramaswamy is he's a very, very effective rhetorician. He's a great messenger. Yeah. But he's actually not as good on the issues as DeSantis is, because Ramaswamy is actually in support of uncapping merit-based legal immigration, which is to say we need to bring in millions of people here from India and from China because Americans are too stupid to do these jobs. And it's like, well, I would sympathize with that if we also weren't having all these measures here for, giving special grants and priority enrollments and all these other things to people who aren't supposed to be here in the first place. Like, it's not fair to say, oh, Americans are too stupid while you're actively disenfranchising Americans and bringing in all these other people to do their jobs for them. And in many cases, too, you don't even have to look in political circles to see this. You just go on like internet forums, people working in tech, just like, hey, I can't say this because I'll get in trouble, but I have a feeling that I'm here and I'm training my replacements and they're just going to fire me. Or like, these Indians, they come over here and they start working and they get very, we'll say, nepotistic and cliquey, and they tend to want to promote coincidentally only other Indians and not, Hispanic people, white people, black, whatever. And I think that's a problem because at best, you're importing a new ruling class to America. So if the idea is like, okay, well, Americans are stupid, we need to bring in millions of elite Indian people. Well, what do you think they're going to do? I mean, they're taking over our companies, they're taking over our tech companies. They're going to like start, if Vivek gets in, then okay, they've taken over the executive branch. Like, that's not going to be good for us either. But then at worst, what it is you're just importing millions of new voters for Democrats. So that's really like my big issue. I don't care if, Vivek, and Vivek is good on every issue except that one, but that's enough to poison the well. Whereas DeSantis, I don't like the guy. I think he's in bed with a lot of bad people, but even just the fact that he's better on that issue than Vivek, I would support him over him.
Yeah, when I was San Diego, I had to work like 3 jobs, and one of them, on part time, I was driving Uber, which was fun, and
a lot of stories.
But every time an Indian person, like a male, would get in the back of the car, I wouldn't even push the app. I would just drive the Qualcomm because I knew exactly where they were going, and that's what for tech work. I mean, I would just go straight to Qualcomm. I know exactly why you're in the car.
Yeah,
might be messed up, but I was batting 1,000. So yeah, you're right. When they come over here, they're already ready for that high tech job.
Yeah.
So regarding, as far as DeSantis goes, I'm big with loyalty, and it's one thing that I wish somebody would just ask him. Just you would not be in the governorship position that you are in if it wasn't for Trump.
Right.
And I wanted to hear his answer because nobody's asked him yet. At least I don't think so. But I want to hear his answer, what he thinks about that. Moving on to, you said something about I think one time I heard one of your videos, you talked about how if we could just tell people that our message is so much better because it improves the lives of every American. Everybody will be happier with our platform because it's about individuality, virtue, family, and pride of country. You were the first person to convince me that the U.S. is not just this pot of stew. We have our own culture. We have our own traditions. We have our own music, our own food.
Yeah.
That just goes beyond of just, oh, everybody just comes over here and we can just throw into the pot whatever we want. That's just ridiculous. You were the first person to convince me that when I watched your video. Looking at, I did youth ministry for over 10 years. 16-year-olds, especially men, especially males, are just completely been destroyed by the system that we're living in today because it serves them no purpose. It offers them no purpose whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you're just walking, you're just driving around in circles in this system that's enslaving you. You're a slave to yourself because you have no virtue whatsoever. You're living in vice. You're addicted to the 6th and 9th commandment. And then you got to wait till you're 28 because somebody told you can't get married and lead a family until you're that old. The next thing you know, then the next 10 to 12 years, you're miserable. Do you think that driving the message of if you could get 5 years to work on yourself and get yourself ready at 21 years old, it's better for you to get married and have kids at that age, provided you have the virtue necessary to lead a family? Do you think that's better for a young man, or is it better for them to wait to the 30?
I don't know. I guess it would depend on what is causing them to do either. Like if you're waiting for 30 because you're very happy to continue living a life that is very selfish and just pursuing, whatever it is you're pursuing, and you think that, well, I'll just stumble into a family and I'll find a wife or something like that. That's one thing. But if you are pursuing something, like this is a conversation I've had with myself, honestly. Like if I got married right now, I would have to commit myself to that woman and to our family, obviously. And I'm just at a point right now where I'm trying to expand and build. And I just don't feel like I can make that commitment because I almost feel like the guy in Whiplash where he's at the diner and he's like, all I'm going to be thinking about doing is drumming. That's like, all I'm going to be thinking about doing is being racist on the internet. And if you if you interrupt that, I'm going to get mad at you. And I'm just going to start to resent you and we're going to have to break up. It's kind of like that where I'm trying to expand. So I don't know what's going to end up happening there. Pray that I figure it out. But in terms of, just guys in general, I would say probably something similar. It just depends on really what you want. If you want a family, then probably you should pursue that sooner rather than later. But if you're trying to really just build something that maybe means that you can't exactly, give that time or commitment to a wife or to a family, it's more mature to be real with yourself about that than it would be to be like, well, I'm going to do it anyways because I want to have my cake and eat it too. And then you're going to be coming home late. Your wife's going to be taking care of the kids by herself, which it's like based in trad. Give me a break. Like, we got to play ball here. So maybe that's not good. But, another thing that people like to do is they like to meet a spouse and get married and then build something together. And that's fine. It just depends on what you want to do. Like, I remember I dated a girl for a while and like her dream was to, like, her parents, they built this business together, doing the same thing. And she wanted to do that with her husband one day, and I was like, well, that's just not me. So we parted ways, but it just depends on what you want, I think.
Okay, that's a very mature, that's a good answer. I appreciate that. Move on to faith, if you don't mind. That'll be our last segment. Move on to faith. So, do you read Catholic books at all?
Not well. I've read some books that have been recommended to me by the Church Militant guys. Like the first one I read, Life of Christ, but I don't. Yeah. I don't really read like Catholic books per se, I guess. I read books that maybe are, Catholic minded or in orientation, but yeah.
Okay, so let's just do all books then. So a desert island, if you're stuck in an island and you got 3 books that you can bring with you, what are you bringing?
Probably I would bring what is it? It's like Introduction to the Science of Mental Health by Father Ripperger.
Ripperger,
Because I've been meaning to read that, but it's such a textbook that I've never had a chance. But if I'm on the island, I may as well. Probably bring that. I suppose I would bring. I've got a couple really big World War II books I never read, like Stalin's War, which came out I think a couple of years ago. I should probably bring that. And then Maybe I'll just bring something funny. I don't know. maybe like a Cormac McCarthy novel. Maybe something fictitious, so I don't go insane.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to brag here, but Bigger and I are good friends. We talk almost every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're really good friends.
Very cool.
He's a great priest. That is a pretty heavy book. He said to me one time, if you know anybody who reads that entire book, please let me know, because it is a heavy one, and he doesn't know anybody who's gone all the way through it. So
yeah,
now that I know that you have it in your hands, if there's anybody who can do it, it's Doyle. So
maybe, well, yeah, you'll have to put me on an island, I suppose.
Yeah, probably
for my own good.
What generation are you? What do you consider?
Gen Z. I'm a Zoomer. Yeah.
Okay, so Tate just came out today. I don't know if it was today, but I heard what he's talking about. How if you wear a Jesus is gay T-shirt and walk around London, nobody would care. But if you wore that about Muhammad, then you would get jumped. And how he respects that about Islam, and that Christianity has no teeth, and it's a losing religion because we don't stand up for anything. You're Gen Z. What do you want out of the church, bud?
I want. Oh boy. I forgot. I was given a speech recently, and I brought this up, and half the room was like, yes, and then the other half of the room was like, I think you could probably even segregate those reactions by gender, but I want the church to like inspire male leadership. I want the church to portray strength and conquest. I mean, people don't like to talk about this, but like when Christianity was at its height on the globe was when we were going around forcing people to basically accept Christ or have not so good things happen to their leadership. And obviously I'm not advocating for the same thing, but we do have to at least approximate that type of militance in pursuit of spreading God's truth. Yeah. And I look at the state of the church now, and it's not that. I mean, it's like this like vague niceties and these platitudes, and it's just not inspiring. And, you're never going to attract, and they always, you say this and they're like, but they need to. So I'll say like, okay, you're never going to inspire young men to come into the church if they walk through and the first thing that happens is their speech is policed by women, they're being henpecked and nagged. Like you need like male leadership to cultivate these boys into warriors for Christ.
Yeah.
Well, they shouldn't need that. They should just do this and they should just do that. And it's like, can we just please focus for 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Stay on task. So I see a lot of that. But I would just like it to, because that's the thing, like if guys can't go there, then they retreat to car culture or drinking or video games or something. There's guys are going to find a way to hang out with each other. We need to find a way for that to be in the church again, because it's just not. And, obviously there's like the meme of, the youth pastor trying to appeal to the kids. You can hang out at church with your guy friends and not have everybody there be like, totally weird, like cringe, trying to pander to you. It can be like very normal. I mean, there has to be these social institutions, and the church just doesn't, by and large, attract those anymore, I don't think. And so I think that's like where it starts initially, is building that sort of community back within or adjacent to the church. Because every time anything has ever happened that has been significant or good, it started when guys just got together by themselves and were just allowed to talk and exist and hang out and form that brotherhood. And that's why everywhere you go, whether it's because our classrooms are mixed now or certain things that guys used to do are no longer allowed because they're too masculine, it's hazing or whatever, or even like with the proliferation of homosexuality, it is sort of anti-natalist. It's obviously evil. It's sodomy. But one thing I don't see often discussed is the really scary thing about that is it almost makes it so that men cannot even form bonds the way that they used to,
right?
Because they have that sort of lingering fear of like, okay, well, what if you like this a little bit too much? Like I have friends, for example, who are like from South Africa, and they'll see me and they'll just be like, how you doing? They'll like, roughhouse me a little bit. And I actually enjoy that. And this is like going to sound, but it's like men, you watch animals do it. Men need that. Men need to feel other men touching them. No homo, but it's like, that's how we bond, is you exchange. That's what a handshake is.
That's right.
A handshake is men meeting and saying, look we can feel each other's strength. We know that we're capable. Let's hope this goes smoothly. If this goes, bad for both of us, we can maybe get ourselves out of it. But now guys are so worried that, like, wait a minute, what if, I mean, the whole reason I have to say no homo is because of this, because guys are like, wait a minute. And so now, like, guys, they don't hug each other anymore. They're afraid to, like, be open with each other, express emotion with each other. And when I say that, I don't mean, like, I'm really anxious today. But, like, if you have something going on, you should obviously be able to discuss it with your friends. But I think the reason guys nowadays feel, like, very insincere about a lot of their dealings with other men, whether it's their brothers, their friends, is because there's that, like, lingering sort of, like, what if we're all actually gay? And I don't think that's everything, but it's not nothing. That definitely does sow division. Like, if I had, 100 guys that were on an island, and that island was going to come over and try to take over my island, and I had a way of getting an idea in their head, the first thing I would do is, like, make half of them gay or something, or at least convince them that, because as a man, there's, like, very few things you want to happen less to you than that. And so if you start thinking, like, wait a minute, all these guys are doing that, maybe there's another reason for them, wanting to, like, roughhouse with me. It's like, no, it's just how guys interact, get along with each other. It's the rough and tumble play, as they say. Guys just getting together, just being stupid. Like, that's what we need. And we don't have that. We have this weird, like, impotent, neutered, very safe, oh, don't climb too high up on the play structure. That's not good. Guys need to get hurt. They need to mess, because that's how we regulate our behavior. I mean, the reason so many guys are weird nowadays is because they never had anybody to, we'll say, regulate, bully them into behaving properly, because they have the zero tolerance policies at school. You're not allowed to get, like, up to no good in the locker room anymore. Oh, well, you can't do that, that's hazing, oh, that's harassment. It's like, no, this is just how guys are.
That's how we do. It's how we grew up.
So.
It's funny because growing up in the 90s, we would play basketball, we say certain things when somebody shoots a bad shot that you can't say anymore today. But I mean, I don't understand it, because we said it, we didn't mean it that way. It was just fun. It's what guys do. But no, that's really interesting. That's a good point regarding the man, because my biggest issue with priesthood today, and the reason why we're seeing a lack of it, is because you have Father, so-and-so, Father Bozo, who's got a rainbow stole on and a rainbow chasuble. And it's like, this is what you gave up. This is what what wanted a celibacy for? Like, you gave up sex for this little rainbow Catholic, false doctrine. It's like, that's not appealing to men. That's not appealing to a young man. So, why join a fight? Because we're in a spiritual warfare. Why join a spiritual warfare when literally what are you fighting for? Inclusivity and
it's just
gender
weakness.
ideology. It's just weakness. So I think what you said is true. We need more men in leadership positions in the church.
It strikes, like, I sort of went off there. It really is, like, a sensitive subject to me, because, like, I know this is going to sound so conceited, but I believe it's true. I don't think there's anybody in the world who is having more fun than, like, me and my friends between, like, 2013 and 2018. And the idea that young men, because in our generation, I mean, we were definitely having, and by the way, we never did drugs, we never partied. And this is my mom always said, she was like, I don't even know how to parent you, because it wasn't like, what to do when your son's, busted smoking pot. Like, with the stuff that we would do was just so stupid, but it wasn't like in the church. Like, we would allegedly go, like, collect wet floor signs from businesses, which, I mean, that is, like, theft or whatever. So again, it's all alleged, but, like, just stuff like that. We had so much fun. And the idea that guys nowadays are not going to be able to have that experience, because there's nothing else like it. I mean, growing up in a good group of guys, you guys are keeping your nose clean, keeping your head on straight. The idea that is going to be taken away from future generations of young men for what? For the rainbow flag? For nothing. It's just, it's so deeply offensive to me. So if there's anything I could do, it would be to reverse that. And then it also happens to be true that the only thing that could ever save us is if men are just allowed to exist and be healthy and develop naturally. We're never going to have a future without healthy, normal young men. And it starts in those environments where they're allowed to just, check each other, socialize with each other, and not feel like they have to retreat, whether it's because of, gay people policing their behavior, or, maybe perhaps well-intentioned, but still, female clergy policing their behavior. Like, we need guys. And that's the other problem, is the older guys aren't there. Like, I'll go to mass, I'll talk to people, and they don't have, like, you're involved. They don't have, like, men getting involved in positions of leadership over the young guys at the church. It just doesn't exist.
Right.
You know, the mom takes the kids to church,
Yep.
and then they come and the dad's at home watching the Cowboys game or something. That's like,
exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, it's an issue. Absolutely, bro. If you could have one priest living today administer last rites, and God forbid this happens anytime soon. I hope you live to 100. But if you have one priest that you could pick to administer your last rites, who would you pick? Anywhere in the world, any cardinal, priest, bishop.
you know, I don't want to say his name. It's my family priest from
Okay.
back in Michigan.
Okay.
He baptized me. He baptized my sister.
Yeah,
so it was probably him. He's a great guy, and he's such a Chad too. I remember the first time I saw him outside of his, like, you know, he had like a red Mustang or something, and my mom, oh, there goes father in his Mustang. He's living his best life. He had this little dog, so yeah, probably him.
All right, last question. It's the same question as the 2024. You're in charge, but this time, Pope Francis passes away. It's 2025, and John Doyle is picked as the next pontiff to head the entire church. White smoke, Habemus Papam. We've got a pope, and it's John. You come out. What papal name are you picking? And what are you doing from that position to make sure the church goes back to its great glory? Make the Catholic Church great again, John.
I'll mandate that all of the earth must be subject to my rule, and they will report to the Vatican, and we will have global Catholic theocracy, just like everybody on trad Twitter wants.
Right.
And then they'll all have to make me as like their iPhone lock screen or something.
Yeah, that would happen. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, what name are you picking?
Just mine.
John, Pope Doyle first.
Yeah. Why not?
Oh man, that'd be hilarious. Oh man, that's funny. Anything you got coming up? Actually, you know what? If you don't mind, I do have one last question.
Sure.
This is very quick. You went to a very prominent all-black college, and you did change my mind. And I watched that whole thing. I think you did fantastic. Is there anything that was not caught on camera? Like, did anybody come up to you after and say that was great? Did any of the students, or was it just? Yeah, I saw it got kind of heated at the end.
Yeah, there were, and I tried to include this in sort of like the spoken outro. There were some shots that you can see of these guys, and they helped us actually carry this stuff to the car. It was a handful. It was about maybe 3 or 4 guys, and they were in the outer skirts of it, and they were trying to, you know, be civil and have conversation. And they apologized on behalf of the students, and I said, you know, it's fine, I get it, but I appreciate it. And they helped us carry this stuff to our car, which was certainly they didn't have to do that. But then also it was sad because on Twitter, when that all went viral, because it went viral in February, and I didn't post it until June because I don't use my time very wisely. But when it was first viral on in February, they were getting a lot of crap from black students and black people on Twitter, and they were being called, you know, coons, Uncle Toms, what have you. Like, why are they carrying stuff for them white boys and just stuff like? It's like there's no concept of like, well, maybe they know something you don't. Maybe they're just being courteous. Maybe they're actually not the ones in the wrong, and it was everybody else. So that was sad to see, but I hope they're doing well and certainly appreciate the help.
That's dope, man. We're in the Lions Den, and I respect you for that. I respect them for being respectful. Brother, thanks for coming on, man. I had a blast talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I got your link down. Anybody who watches, I'll be promoting this as best as I can to get on heckoffcomedy.com. And what's your next video? Got one coming up? You want any spoilers?
You know, I had one in the tank that I was doing about Vivek Ramaswamy actually in mass immigration, but then the Trump mugshot happened, so I put that out.
Oh, that was a good one.
And then so I went back to work on the immigration one, but then I got into a fight on Twitter about pit bulls, and so now I'm like, well, maybe I got to put one out about pit bulls this week. So I don't know. We'll see.
That's dope. Hey, you want to kick a freestyle? I'm just.
You think I can't? You think I can't freestyle?
Hey, let's hear it, man. Let's hear your freestyle.
Okay, you called my bluff. I can't. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
No worries. Yeah, so maybe I think your next video is going to be breaking down Enoch's lyrics.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what is it, like the lyric genius with like the pink or the yellow backdrop? I'll rap one of your songs and I'll give my best synopsis of what everything means. Yeah, Pitbull video imminent. So true, Noah.
Absolutely. All right. God bless you guys. Thanks for coming on and listening. I had a blast. Thanks, John. Again, appreciate you, bud.
Yeah, man.